guys watched my recent deck profile on I'm So Angry, you guys would have saw that my deck profile for Prank Kids was a little bit different than most people's deck. It was a deck that really revolved around Mystic Mine and using its capabilities to stun out the game state and take advantage of the grind game. And unfortunately, yes, it is sort of a schemy way to win a game, but unfortunately that's just the way we are in 2020. We're in a format where people are trying to rip our hand for 4 or 5, and then we have the Buster lock, so there are many unfair things in the game, and unfortunately this deck is one of them. So I would like to show you guys one of the other toxic ways to win a Yu-Gi-Oh game via the utility of Mystic Mine. Now, it's using the stun capabilities of Mystic Mine while also capturing a high ceiling. So I would like to run you through a test hand video of how I would play this deck. So to start off the video, we're first going to have a consistency test. So what we're going to do is we're going to shuffle this up. I already power shuffled prior to the video, but I'm going to give it one last go of it. And again, if you want my list, you can go over to I'm So Angry YouTube channel. He's been a big supporter of Bemani Lounge ever since day one, and we're going to support him as well. So for the deck list, go over to his channel. Let's get into the consistency check. So we have 40 cards, and we're going to have 8 5-card hands, assuming that we're going first. You could also do the same thing going second, but 5 cards is a little bit more strict, so we're going to keep ourselves honest here. So first hand, we have the fusion play, which is really huge because we dodge Ash, and unfortunately, because we did draw the Dropsies, we can't make Toad before Nibiru could hit down. However, as I mentioned in the video, if you open up Polymerization plus any 2 Prank Kids that's not Dropsies, you can summon Toad as the 4th summon, so you could potentially dodge Nibiru, which is huge. But in either case, we still have, full combo and then some. So we're gonna put this one over to the left. This will be for the combo hands, and this is for the brick hands. And like mid-range, where we can lose to like maybe 1 or 2 hand traps, we would put it in the middle here. So there's 1 for 1. And here we have another similar hand where we have Poly, Dropsies, and Fansies to go into Rocket Ride. Again, we don't dodge Nibiru, but we dodge Ash. And then again, we see the Gamma. This is like almost the exact same hand as the last one, so we're 2 for 2. And here we have a Pranks, a Roxy's, a Gamma, Fusion Recycling Plant, and Parallel Exceed. This is actually a very good hand. So we would first bait out an Ash with Fusion Recycling Plant, probably pitching the Pranks. If they have Ash, we would be able to Gamma them. If they don't Ash this, I would assume that they don't have Gamma. So we also chain block Ash with Parallel Exceed. So our hand does not lose to Ash. But once again, most hands are susceptible to Nibiru. The only ones that aren't susceptible to Nibiru are the ones where you draw Poly plus 2 Prank Kids that aren't Dropsies. So we do have combo though, and then some, because we have the Parallel Exceed to drop down that can turn into Dugaris or number 41 Baguska. So we're 3 for 3. So here we draw the place, the plan, the terraforming, our Roxy's, and a Nibiru. So we have the Nibiru for our opponent's turn if we want to use it. So it's not uncommon to summon Bow Wow and pass with 2 Pandemonium set. And then on our opponent's turn, if they're playing combo, we can Nibiru them, chain the Bow Wow Bark to add 2 cards from our graveyard to our hand. This way we don't lose any of our resources. We Nibiru, and then we can Pandemonium to summon on our opponent's turn. But taking away the Nibiru, we still have the place, which will get us a Prank Kid, and then we have Terraforming. So that can get to our Fusion Recycling Plant. So in a way, we have Poly in our hand because we could pitch the plan from our hand to the graveyard and have 2 Prank Kids plus a Poly. And since we can have control over what targets we have, we can search the Lampsies or the Fansies and summon 2 Dropsies to make Toad. So this hand actually does play around Nibiru, and it plays around Ash. So that's a very good hand. That's like what most of your hands want to look like. So that is 4 for 4. Halfway through now, we have a Pandemonium, a Poly, a Lampsies, Driver, which is probably one of the biggest bricks in the deck, and then another Lampsies. So, unfortunately, we don't dodge Nibiru, but we do sort of dodge Ash, because if we normal summon this and go into our Meow Meow and then use its effect and they ash it, we can poly with Lamp and the Meow Meow to go into Rocket Ride. Now you won't get Lampsy's effect, but you can go into Doodle Doodle Doo and you could search another Prank Kid, and then you already have the poly. So in a way, you could play around Ash and not only have anything. So I'm gonna put this in the middle pile just because we did draw two of the same. We have the restriction with Pandemonium, and we have a brick in our hand. So it is very weak. It's probably if they have Ash and something else, then we might lose that game. So we're gonna put that in the middle here, but definitely not a bad hand by any means. Parallel Exceed, double Mystic Mine, and Pranks, and a Nibiru. So this is the first hand where it is literally unplayable. Parallel Exceed doesn't do anything if you don't have a Prank Kid. Mystic Mine is definitely one of the best cards to draw in the deck. Mystic Mine plus a Prank Kid is a lock, which is cool. If you guys want to see that lock, you guys can see it more in depth in the I'm So Angry video, although I will do a test hand video right now, and it might come up. So we'll put that in the unplayable hand. So far only 1 out of 6, I believe. So here we have a new hand, and this hand is just really good. I mean, anytime you see Instant Fusion, it's usually pretty good. Plus the set rotation, so this can get us to place Fusion Recycling Plant or Mystic Mine. And then we have the Prank Kid and the Parallel Exceed. So this hand is just very good. This is what your hand wants to look like. So another one in the good pile there. And then our final hand, this is our 8th and final hand. We have the Mystic Mine, the Lampsies, we have the whole gang, and a place. So we have a very good play. I will say it is kind of susceptible to Ash. You can bait a bad player with an Ash by activating place first and see if they Ash that, but most likely not. So yeah, it loses to Ash. You have the Mine, so I will say it's good. But I'll put this in the middle just because it is sort of in between. So when you look at the in between and the bad hands, you kind of see here you have two Mystic Mine crumpled together, and then you have the Parallel Exceed. So it's okay because even the bad hand was all really good cards, just in the worst order possible. So yeah, I think that the consistency for this deck is right there. So let's do some test hands and see where we go with this. And again, when you go second, it's a whole different dynamic because the hands with Mystic Mine become really good hands. I would say those are the best hands you could possibly get. So the dynamic shifts definitely depending on whether you're trying to go first or second. So yeah, it's definitely a lot different. So let's shuffle this up as well as we can. And let's get into a couple test hands. So we'll do 1 or 2, and we'll put the main deck here and the extra deck right here. So we're gonna pretend we go first and win the dice roll. I might do another. It's hard to make believe you're going second because it's completely based off of what your opponent has. So for the sake of the video, we'll go first and we will draw our hands. So Poly, Nibiru, Gamma, Parallel Exceed. We need a Prank Kid here. And we have the set rotation. Okay, that was almost really bad. But we did get saved by the set rotation. And we will give our opponent Fusion Recycling Plant. And we will give ourselves Prank Kid's place and activate the place. Whoops. Shaking the camera to search a Prank Kid. And here, honestly, again, if they ash this and you have Gamma, so it's really all fine. So you have the I'll go actually it's like a cardinal sin to start with Roxy's because I want to dig into my non-engine cards as much as possible. I actually usually start with one of the life point gainers. So you can start with Dropsies or Lampsies. I think those are the best just because you want to thin your deck as much as possible before you get to Roxy's. So here we go with Dropsies, and we're going to link it off into Meow Meow. So Chain Link 1 will be Dropsies, Chain Link 2 will be Parallel Exceed, summoning to a link zone where our link monster points to, and the Dropsies will resolve to gain us 1,000 life points, so we're at 9,000, and we will summon the Lampsies. So we get to this point, and Parallel Exceed will activate its effect to summon another level 4. So another Parallel Exceed here. So a lot of people play this card for the sake of dodging Nibiru. It doesn't dodge Nibiru because, as you can tell, we already have 5 summons. So here we can just get Nibiru here, and that would be really bad. And unfortunately, that's just the bane of the deck. But most combo decks do lose to Nibiru. So that's just, giving with the territory. Again, there are some hands where you can play around it. So anyway, moving on, we're going to link off these two into Doodle Doodle Doo. So chain link 1 will be Doodle Doodle Doo. Chain link 2 will be Lampsies. So the Lampsies will go off, getting us our fancies. And then we will add the Prank Kids Pandemonium. So we're going to activate Pandemonium here to... actually, sorry, before we activate Pandemonium, I should say we should overlay first we could overlay into Dugaris. Well, actually, we have Poly in our hand, so we don't have to worry about the restriction. See, here's the catch. If we activate Pandemonium now, we can't go into rank 4 play. Now, I play Baguska, which is fine. It doesn't really hurt you at all as much as your opponent, but you could also go into Dugaris to draw more cards. You could, if you get hand trapped on one of your Prank Kids, because you always make them chain link 2, you can use Dugaris to summon one of them back, especially if you have Rocket Engrave. So there's a couple of other things you could do. For the sake of our test hand, we're going to activate Poly, and we're going to fuse these away into our Rocket Ride. And now our Lampsies will go off, search special summoning, I should say, our Roxies. So here we have the Roxies, the 2 parallel exceeds. Both of these are level 4. Becomes level 4 because of its effect. And now we will use this effect to summon the Doodle Doodle Doo and summon, I guess, one of these. You have it. You use all of them except for the Roxies. So here you could now. I'm also sorry because this is supposed to Foolish Burial a card. So we're going to Foolish Burial. We'll Foolish Burial a second Pandemonium just because we want to have access to another. And here we're going to link off into our Bow Wow Bark. You could tribute off the Doodle Doo now to search. You could have done that before actually you linked, but a little tired here. Just won locals before, so played a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh today, and I got first place, undefeated. So I'm trying to think of a way to do this correctly, but we're going to tag out and get the Pandemonium for sure. And you want to have copies of the original attributes in your hand. Now you can get 2 of them with Bow Wow Bark on your opponent's turn. So we'll get the Fancies and the Dropsies, and on our opponent's turn we can get the Lampsies to ensure Battle Butler. So yeah, so we'll add these to our hand. So these are all in our hand, and oh, sorry, you only get one of them because we have the Pandemonium and the Fancy. So we have these 2 on our opponent's turn. We'll get the Dropsies and the Lampsies. So that's how you get it. So, and then again here we have an option. We haven't used Pandemonium yet. If you didn't have the Poly, you would have had to overlay preemptively. But here we have the luxury of being able to make the Baguska late. So it's another interruption for our opponent's turn, and then we can set double Pandemonium if we wanted to, and we will. So our opponent, they have to play through Baguska, and if they don't, then we could tag out. We could potentially, Pandemonium here, and after we get to our Dropsies and our Lampsies, and we could fusion summon into our Butler. Now, as long as this is on the field, we can't use Butler's effect actually, but what's cool is we can use plays to give each 500 attack, and then they still have to play through this. If they get over it, then you could Butler afterwards. But on your opponent's turn, again, it completely depends on what deck they're playing or what they're doing. They still have to play through multiple interruptions. So again, we have 5 cards in hand, so it doesn't really matter too much. We have a huge safety net here because we can use this not once but twice on our opponent's turn because we have the Link 1 in Graveyard. So instead of having to tribute this one as cost, we can banish this one instead, which is the effect of Meow Meow, the new Prank Kid Link monster, and that really is the bread and butter of the deck. So you guys kind of learn with the ebbs and flows of the deck. It's kind of a hard deck to have a cookie cutter combo just because there are so many variables. You have different orders, different combinations and permutations in which you could draw these cards that you really have to change it up depending on what you're playing against, when you get hand trapped, and of course what order you draw the combo in, and all in fear of getting the Beeroots. So it's definitely not the easiest deck to play. It comes with a learning curve. So I'm going to try to do one more test hand. I'm hoping that it kind of involves Mystic Mind, just so I could show off what I would do with that here. But we'll do one more. So here we go. We're going to draw Lamp, Poly, Pandemonium, and Poly. So unfortunately, don't have Mystic Mind play. This is pretty much similar. So let me dig for another one because it's pretty much the same play as before. So we're going to put this to the bottom. Yeah, it wasn't a terrible hand. Here we go, Mystic Mind. So let me show you guys what you guys do with Mystic Mind. So we're going to keep Mystic Mind in hand for now. We're going to normal summon the Fancies and go into Meow Meow, and then we're going to use Fancy's effect to dump a card. So we're going to dump specifically. We need to get to Pranks, which we already have in our hand. So if you didn't have Pranks in your hand, you would, we'll assume we don't have it in our hand, you would dump Pranks to special out the Lamp. Now here we could go into our Dodal Doo, so chain link 1 Dodal, chain link 2 Lamp. So here we're going to summon Drop. We're going to get all of our original Prank Kid names in circulation to start off, and then after Drop is summoned, the Dodal Doo resolves, searching us our Pandemonium. So you can do it different ways. I mean, you could dump the Pandemonium. Actually, no, you can't dump. You have to search this off off Doodle. So with this specific combo. So we're going to activate Pandemonium here, and we're going to fusion summon these, and we're going to summon Rocket Ride, and we're going to use Dropsy's effect to gain 1,000 and summon Roxy's from our deck, because that's the last one we haven't used yet. So here we have 2 monsters. We're going to use Rocket Ride to summon the Dodal Doodle Doo and any other prank monster. Doesn't really matter, because we already used all of them except for Roxy's. So here we're going to also tag out the Dodal Doodle Doo to add back the Pandemonium and the Pranks, assuming that we didn't have any of them to start. We're going to link these off into Bow Wow Bark. Now, what you're going to do here is you're going to use the effect of Roxy's to banish to draw, just to get an extra draw, but you're not going to summon. That's something that you could do. You can use the first effect, the first part of the effect, but you don't have to use the second part of the effect. So we're going to banish a blank card. I guess Gamma, since it's useless. Well, for now it's useless. It could be useful later on in the game. But we'll banish it and draw a card, and it's instant fusion. And we're not going to summon it. The reason why that is because we want to have no monsters on our opponent's turn when we tag out the Bow Wow Bark. So we're going to activate Mystic Mind here. And now we're under Mystic Mind, right? And we're going to activate the Pranks, and we're going to set the Pandemonium. So this is always the same field that you get pretty much from a 1-card combo with Mystic Mind. And our end phase, we're going to use Prank's effect to shuffle back. We're going to shuffle back the Dodal Doodle Doo, the Rocket Ride, and the Prank Kid Meow Meow. Because these are all cards that we're going to use for the following turn. So we're going to shuffle them back and draw a card. And then on our opponent's turn, as soon as they summon 1 monster, we can tag this out to add 2 monsters, 2 Prank Kid cards from our graveyard to our hand. So as soon as they summon a monster, now they're under mine. Now, what if they deal with the Mind? If they deal with the Mind, so say this is off the field, then you could just go Pandemonium, summon your Bow Wow Butler. Oh, I should have had a Fancies in hand, my bad. Should have got that. I would have had a Bow Wow Butler, and then 3 summons, and then 2, well, actually 1 board wipe. But it's still extremely good. So say the Mystic Mind survives. On our opponent's turn, they're still going to have a monster because they're under mine. We're going to draw for turn. We're gonna normal summon the Lamp Seeds, right? And we're going to link it off. So we still each have 1 monster. We're going to use the effect of Lamp Seeds in Graveyard to summon a Dropsies, which are the life point differential makers, right? So we're going to link these off. And we're going to summon a Dodal Doodle Doo, and Dodal Doodle Doo's effect is going to go off, and it's going to search us a Pandemonium. We already have a Pandemonium in this situation, but it could be good. And we're going to use Dropsy's effect to gain 1,000 and summon the Roxy's, right? And here, what we're going to do is we're going to activate Pandemonium, and we're going to fuse these away into our Rocket Ride. And we're going to use Rocket Ride's effect. It has an effect to have its attack to attack directly. So they have 1 monster, we have 1 monster. We'll go battle phase, and we'll attack it directly for 1,000. On our main phase 2, we're going to attack this off, and we're going to summon 1 and summon 2. It could be any two really, actually, and we're going to link these off again into another Doodle Doodle Do, and we use Doodle Doodle's effect because we each have one monster. Now it's going to be back to 0, and we're going to add back 2 cards, so we'll add back this, and we could add back the Rocket Ride back to our extra deck. And so what we did was, we gained 1,000, and we did 1,500 total damage, 1,000 with the Rocket Ride and 500 with the Lamb-Seeds. So, yeah, that's very cool, and you could do this every turn, because at the end phase, you're going to use Pranks, and you're going to shuffle back, once again, all of the targets that you're going to be using for this combo, and we're going to draw a card. And I did this at locals to someone. They were not a happy camper, but essentially what you do is you put your opponent on a 5 to 6 turn clock, and this is game 1. You know, if it's close to time, you don't even have to take the risk of getting Nibiru'd by going to the Rocket Ride play. You could simply just, you know, go Doodle Doodle Do, gain life points, tag out, add them back, and just do it that way, and just keep on gaining life points. And that's just a way to play the game. Unfortunately, we're taking advantage of Mystic Mine, which is not a healthy card for the game. But as the head of Bemani Lounge, Femi Akeem, says, Mystic Mine is a fair card. So that's what we're going to be going by, and that's pretty much the deck. So hopefully you guys enjoy the content, and then subscribe to Bemani Lounge for more prank kit content, as well as more from I'm So Angry. So I'll see you guys in the next video. This has been the team captain, Henry Ferchau, signing off. Bye, guys.